Hi and welcome to my tips and tricks video series. Today's tip and trick is treat over reliance. And this is something I'm pretty passionate about because it's become a bigger and bigger problem. And what's happening is we become so over reliant on treating dogs, to teach dogs, that we end up teaching dogs to work for food. And the whole idea when we teach your dogs should be to teach them to work for us. A dog should always be working for us, not for food. And an example of that is what we're finding is people are coming and saying, you know, my dog's 6 months old or my dog's 12 months old and I can't get the dog to sit without a treat. And what's happened is they've taught that dog to work for food. And what's worse is trainers that really don't understand what they're doing all over the place are perpetrating this whole treat over reliance, because they go to a trainer and they go, oh, my dog will sit and it'll down and it'll listen to me when I'm in the house, but when I go out in the yard suddenly the dog won't listen to me. And the trainer says, oh, what are you using for treats? And they say, kibble. Oh, that's no good. Go and get liver treats. So they get liver treats, they go back out in the front yard and it's working better. And they go, oh, terrific. And then they go outside the house, out to the nature strip, and it all falls apart again. And so they go back to the trainer and the trainer says, oh, just increase the resource, give them cheese. Make it more valuable to them, give them cheese. So the person says, all right, and they go and get cheese and they go out in the nature strip, all good again. The dog's starting to listen. They walk down the street and the first dog they come to, it all falls apart. They go back to the trainer and the trainer says, oh, increase it, give them some hot dog. So they go get some hot dog and they start treating the hot dog. Here, they treat the hot dog and it's working. And then they go to a nearby park and it all falls apart again. They go back to the trainer and the trainer says, oh, use some raw chicken. And then when that falls apart, they go to steak. They've never once addressed the problem. And the problem is training. Treats don't train dogs, we do. Treats are a tool. They're no different from using a collar or a lead or a sound. They are a tool to help train dogs. Now, don't get me wrong, treats can help accelerate training. They can help motivate dogs. They can help them learn quicker. And I use treats. But treats should only be used to teach a dog something new. Once a dog understands that, the treat should be removed. And the dog should be working for you. The dog should be doing what you say or what you command. And that's why they're called commands. When you give that command to sit, that dog should sit, whether you have something in your hand or not. Whether you have a piece of kibble or whether you have a piece of steak should make no difference, because the dog should be working for you. Once it understands the command, it should do it. It's why I always say, put a lead on a dog that's not 100%. Because if the dog doesn't work for that bit of kibble, you guide it with that lead and the dog sits when you say sit. Every single time. So the dog never fails. This is absolutely ridiculous that we go, oh, well, the dog's not listening to me today, so I'll give it cheese. It's not listening to me tomorrow, so I'll give it bacon. It's not listening to me 2 days later, so let's give it some hot dog meat. It is absolutely ridiculous. We are negotiating pay rises for our dogs. And that's what we're doing. The dog's sitting there and going, stuff you, buddy, I'm not working. I'm not working unless I get 2 bits of cheese and a bit of bacon. And after it gets a few successes and its ego gets a bit bigger and it's getting proud of itself, he goes, nah, buddy, I do sit for this and I do lay for this. You want me to stay? I want hot dog. And people are giving it to it, and trainers are saying this is all right. Just keep increasing it. Bullshit. Put a lead on the dog. When you give a dog a command, you guide it into that position if the dog doesn't do it. Once the dog understands the command, treats have got to go, and the dog has to start working for you. The other thing that people aren't being told is they'll go to a trainer and they go, oh, my dog gets aggressive when it sees another dog coming, or gets overexcited, overstimulated, starts pulling, gets really leash reactive. And what's happening when a dog gets really, leash reactive is the flight or the fight response is being enacted. And so the dog is going into one of these two modes. And one of the first things to happen when a dog goes into this mode is the digestive system shuts down. And one of the first techniques the trainer will use is sit the dog in front of you, get its focus on you and feed it treats. Good boy. Yes, good boy. As the dog or the trigger walks right past you. But remember what I said. This is a fight or flight response from the dog. And when they go into a flight and fight response, the digestive system shuts down. So think about that. The digestive system shuts down and the trainer's saying, give it treats. And you're wondering why the treat's not working. And it won't matter whether it's kibble, cheese, hot dog, or steak. It won't matter if you're offering the dog your firstborn, it's not going to eat. It can't. The digestive system has shut down. So when you pull up such an over-reliance on treats, you have nothing to offer the dog. And when the dog is in a fight or flight response, it's not going to be able to take a treat. Not that it doesn't want to, not that it's being stubborn, not that it wants to disobey you. It can't. It is impossible because the digestive system is shut down. So it doesn't work. Training works. Treats are a tool and they can help, but the only thing that fixes problems in the end is training. It's us. And the only way we can fix a problem, the only way we can truly train dogs to be efficient and effective and safe in the real world outside our homes is by getting a dog to work for us. So don't get so hooked up on treats. Don't worry about which treat this is going to do or what treat somebody else is using. Take some of their meal, some of their kibble, and use that as a treat. Make the dog work for you. Put a lead on the dog. Make sure every time you say sit, even if that dog won't do it for the treat, it'll do it because you put it in position. And so it works for you. Once the dog understands the command, remove the treat and get the dog working for you. All right, dogs are dying every day because of treat over-reliance, because they're not listening to owners, because they've inadvertently been taught to work for food and not for the owner. So when they go out there and they've forgotten treats, they run out of treats, or the treat just isn't high enough value for whatever stimuli is happening, the dog stops working, stops listening to you because it's never been taught to. It's always been taught to the food, but the food's no longer there or it's not high enough value. So the dog runs across the street and gets hit by the car. It chases something out into the woods and gets lost. It gets killed by a bear or a cougar. It chases another dog and bites another dog and gets put down. Or worse still, it bites a person or a child and ends up being put down. Or owners can't deal with it because the dog will not listen to them because it's never been taught to work for them. So it ends up in the shelter system. Another family gets it, they make the same mistake, it goes back. And this happens until finally the dog gets put to sleep. Dogs are dying every day because there's an over-reliance on treats. And it's really important that you understand treats are beneficial, but treats don't train dogs. We do. Hope that helps. I'll see you in the next one.